Hey guys, welcome back to Driven Channel, and I'm here with a special guest. First off, Pat, I just want to tell you how much I look up to you. You always told me to remain humble, hungry, and coachable. And a lot of the things that I do on social media, you know, they're more for social media to get the views, to get the followers. That way, it leads to more business. But I'm always thinking about you when I'm thinking about like my next move. Like I got to remain coachable. I got to remain humble. I got to be hungry. And you've been a real big example, by far my greatest mentor. And when times get tough, you know, a lot of people change, people leave, people come. But I always think about you, and I'm like, you know, what would Patrick do? And even though we don't talk, like quite often, I know whenever I reach out, you always answer me, and you've always been there for me in sales. So I just want to thank you for all you do, man. I'm really grateful for you.
Anytime. Like I said off camera, man, you when I see your family, I love seeing your family. You guys look very good together. Kids look happy. Sil looks happy. I'm happy for you guys.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much. And I want to start off here with PHP. So you exited PHP, and the next months, is there something big coming? Are you gonna totally be out, or do you have still a run with PHP? What's coming next?
My responsibilities are decreasing on a monthly basis, and it's all intentional. And what's funny is while you're going through this, you have to do it in a proper way, because the people we partnered up with, they're great people, and the people that helped build the company, I'm grateful for them. So the transition has to be in a way where it's super, super smooth. Can't be sudden, and there's got to be results. So 2022 EBITDA versus 2023. So if somebody doesn't know what EBITDA means, let's just say net profits.
Yeah.
We grew the net profits in 23 to 22, roughly 78%. So think about the numbers after you sell, and what you do that full calendar year. The following year, we grew it by 78%. It's the most we've ever had people making $100,000, $250,000, $500,000, $1 million, $2 million. We've never had this many people doing this well, which is great. So the transition's been slowly. And on the back end, I've worked directly with the president, Maral, and her husband, Tikran. They're doing a phenomenal job. Rodolfo and Ceci Vargas, the field advisory board, along with Sapalas, and now Palau's being back into it again. They're doing a great job. Company's in a very good place. We're excited. The numbers are looking very, very good. And it's time. The sign of the company doing well is when it does well without your direct influence. I don't have any influence right now.
Yeah.
I don't do videos anymore. I don't do any of the trainings anymore. I don't do Dream Team. I don't do all the stuff that I was doing anymore. And the numbers are getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and I'm not there. We have great leaders in the company. It's been a very exciting ride.
What do you think led to that, though? Like what led to 70% increase the next year after you sell?
Yeah. So we about April of 22, which is 2.5 months before we sold, I raised standards on quality of business, which some of this stuff, I don't know if your audience is going to get a kick out of it or not. So meaning, you know, before you could submit a policy and 40% would go through underwriting, or 50%. Now it's 60%. Annuities is 80%, 85. And it's going higher and higher. So any of the bogus games, it's out. Some of the contests we're doing, we got rid of. I bonus the entire home office staff, and I put $5 million on the line of cash bonuses on top of all the other things. So I'm already paying nearly $15 million of cash bonuses. I added another $5 million of my own money to the table. And our employees' home office, quarterly, they're getting cash bonuses. Our vice presidents, quarterly, they're getting cash bonuses. And it's for improving the 4 areas that we value the most. And the way we're growing the next 4 months, whoever improves the most number-wise, and we hit our numbers for the EBITDA, to the number 1 person in the company, I'm going to give $1 million check at MGM. And then number 2 is like $500,000, 450, 400, 350, all that stuff. And it goes all the way down. But that's what it's looking like with what we did. We got everybody running on the same page, motivated about the same numbers.
All right. So Pat, from the previous company to when you started PHP, what were the like 2 things that, or 3, or maybe just 1 that you said, you know what, I can do it better? And then when you started PHP, because I'm dealing through it, I'm going through it, and I've been through it. A lot of times, sometimes, it's almost like you go through a hard time, and you're like, you know what? We're either gonna win or we're gonna win. Kind of like when rates, rates are 2%, they go up to 8, 9, 10%.
Yeah.
Homes being sold in the US are 6 million. Next year, they're down to 4 million. So you know how hard mortgage got in real estate. So you go through times where you're like, or at least for me, you know what? We could go out of business this year, but I have to pivot. So when you open PHP, what did you think you could do better than the previous company? And then when you did start PHP, did you ever go through moments like that where you were kind of, I don't know if we're going to get through this, but if I'm committed, if I give it my all, we will definitely get through it. I don't know if that makes any sense.
Totally. Great question. So for me, I wrote a 16-page Jerry Maguire type letter in 2007 with the 9 points to the company I was a part of. The World Financial Group Transamerica was 16 pages, 9 points. I emailed it to a lady named Susan, all the other executives at the company in Atlanta. Nobody responds back for a week. So then I send the email and I send it to all of them, but I also CC their company's owner, Aegon. Guy named Pat, any name, Jack, any name I can find any name as an executive I could find, I send it to them, and a handful of field leaders that I knew. 30 minutes, I get a call. Hey, this is pretty wild. You wrote this? Yes. We need to talk to you about this. No problem. I get a call. A week, 2 weeks later, they fly out to Irvine. We have a meeting together in Irvine. And this meeting in Irvine, I'm at the head of the table. They're here. Couple of the people that are there, they don't want to be there. This lady named Susan, let's call her if that's her name. And they're like, I can't believe you emailed this to our bosses. You made us look bad. I said, well, first of all, Susan, you never get back to people anyway. She was terrible at getting back to people. She wasn't the most respectful of the field, my experience, and based on what I heard from a lot of other people. I love the other guys I was working with, but I had a hard time with this lady. And anyways, we're sitting there and I'm proposing. 8 hours, 7 hours we're together. And they're like, okay, let's test this out. 1 month, 1 out of the 9 points they implement. And a month later, they stop that. So then I'm sitting, I'm like, okay, they're not listening to you. You're the number one recruiting guy coming up right now in the company. There was an event that they gave 4 Stanley Cups. 2 of them they gave to a guy that they've reported this guy makes $24 million a year today. Yeah. Okay. The other 2 Stanley Cups they gave to me. So it's 2 people, 4 Stanley Cups. I get 2, he gets 2. We're the future of the company. He's the guy that's some call him the greatest of all time that did it. Man's in his late mid 70s. Great guy, phenomenal in the business. Respected him a lot, and spent a lot of any time I spend with him one-on-one. I valued who this guy was. Talk to him? No, we haven't spoken since the day I left. We haven't had a call since September of 2009, which is what 14 and a half years.
You wouldn't talk to him again?
I would absolutely talk. I got a lot of respect for this guy. I have no issues with this guy. This guy's I have nothing but good things to say. He positively impacted my life. Him, another man named Rich. I have plenty of friends in that company, but we haven't had a relationship because I'm the enemy. I totally get it. I don't take it personal. Yeah. I need more things to drive me, and these types of things drives me. Yeah. But I don't bitch about it. I don't complain about it. I'm a grown man. I get to work. If it's something that drives me, I keep it in the back of my mind. It's scenes I play for myself to drive me, and I go. Now, you ask me a question, what I do differently. Here's what I do differently. We're in a meeting in Diamond Bar that this man named Rich hosts, and it's me and a group of people in this room. Myself, Jen sitting here, all the players are sitting here. Me and this other guy are getting into it. And right here's a man named Rich. Yeah. We're about to kill each other in this meeting. The people who are in the room, they know exactly what meeting I'm talking about. I don't believe this guy. I think this guy's full of shit. I don't think he likes the business. I think all he does is talk. I called him out one time in Hawaii when I faced off with him and we talked to each other, and I looked him in his eyes and I said, I want you to look at me in my eyes when I'm talking to you because I want to know if I'm going to be here for the next 20 years. And he says, well, the sun's in my eyes. I said, let's switch seats. So we'd switch seats. And I said, do you love what you do here? Because I don't think you do. I think you like golfing more. I think you like the lifestyle more. I think you want to spend time with your family and do the golfing, the political stuff, and be a motivational speaker. And there's nothing wrong with you've earned the right to do it. But you're the young guy here in the company that people are seeing that could potentially run the company. If you're not in, I'm out.
Mhm.
I respect the fact that he finally told me an hour later, you're right, I don't know what I'm doing. I said, well, I do. I don't have a problem with my vision. I know exactly where I want to go, how much money I want to have by 40, what I want to do by 50, 60. I know what I want to do. And some of it's private, some of it's public. So I leave. That event at that Hawaii event, I never spoke. I said, I don't need to speak because I'm not in a good place for me to speak here. And I'm a vision guy. I'm a history guy. I'm a guy that demands respect because I give you a lot of respect. But I don't like gamification. I don't like manipulation. I don't like lying. I don't like you telling me, well, let me tell you. I don't do well with people like that. I've always been like that since I was a kid. So that's when I started asking myself, if I were to run a company, what would I do and how would I not mistreat people? The things that bothered this guy in his 20s when I was in that company was if I ever came up with an idea, I felt there was a lady that would always from stage say she came up with the idea, even though we came up with the idea. I didn't like that. Check. Guess what's one of our 12 code of honor? Anybody that ever comes up with a great idea that does very well within a company, brag about that the person came up with the idea. Never take credit for the idea, even if it helps you with your promotion. A great leader always gives the credit to the person that came up with the idea. Great. Then I watched a few other things when people were not keeping their words, when they said they're going to do something and they wouldn't do it. Never liked it. Okay, we're going to do our best to keep our word. So if I said it, shit. Even though I don't know, guys, we're going to do this. Don't worry about it. It's going to cost us 18 grand. Yeah. I got you because I promise you here's what we're going to be doing. Then I watched how they treated people who quit. People who quit, they talked so much shit about them. They demonized them publicly. They demonized, they trashed, they said all these things about them. And by the way, and I watched to see if some of them were true and some of them were not. The game I play, if you quit and you trash what I'm doing, I don't want to talk to you. You know how sometimes people want to be nosy and when somebody quits, they call them?
Yeah.
Because quitters like to talk to quitters. I'm not part of that camp. But I also don't like the fact that when somebody would quit, they would call out their character. This guy's going to be going to jail. You don't know what's going on with, and they would make stuff up.
Did they say that about you?
They said that about me and others. And I watched, and I knew other people they said this stuff to, and it wasn't true.
Yeah.
And I knew what they're saying about me is not true. Eventually, they were caught, and they were embarrassed. A couple of the guys, specifically this one guy, made up a lot of stories about me, which I never liked. 7 years later, he called and apologized to me, which I respect the fact that he apologized for an hour and a half. He was crying emotional. It was a good call. I respect that. I'm just telling you the story right now, and the name doesn't need to be revealed here. He knows who he is. Vividly, he knows who he is, and others do as well. So I said, okay, give credit when people go above and beyond. Keep your word, right? And if someone quits and it doesn't work out, you guys could have had a tough argument privately, but don't publicly humiliate them because other people are going to see how you're going to treat people when they leave you. They want to see how you treat them. Like, for example, if Jennifer and I are dating, and she's telling me stories about ex-boyfriend. You know how many times she's trashed her ex-boyfriend in front of me? Do you know how many times? This many times. You know how much I love that?
I'm Albert Preciado. If you like what you're watching and you want to learn from an entrepreneur that built 8 companies and makes over $30 million a year, text me at 213-277-6208 and let's make it happen.
Because you know what? You know what that made me think about? If our marriage one day doesn't work out, she will never trash me. That's character. I value it. Now I got 4 kids with her. We're happily married today, but life is very tough. You don't know what's going to happen long term. I'm not God to see what decisions she's going to make. I have to do my best to make better decisions. This is not an easy thing we're doing right now. I'm running 8, 9 companies. We got 4 kids. I'm on the road. I'm traveling. I'm talking. Life is, constant.
Yeah.
So let me finish the startup and I'll bring it back to you. So what I wanted to do was I wanted to build a company based on certain set of values and principles that attracted people that were turned on by these values and principles. And I understood that I'm not for everybody, and that's totally fine. I got that. Then I wanted to have a proven system that showed people's lives change positively, not only financially, but by the way they live and the kind of citizens they are in society. And that's going to bring more people like that. And then it was, how I wanted to be as a leader to my guys, where I love you, and if I love you, and you sincerely know I love you by the way I treat you, you're willing to receive feedback from me and counsel from me, even if sometimes I'm going to be a little bit direct with you and may not be easy to receive, but I'm going to do it in a gentle, respectful manner.
Yeah.
And I'm always going to have your back. Now, I didn't know if these things were going to be valuable or not long-term. I had no idea somebody was going to pay a few $100 million for something like this, but eventually they did. So That's where I said, I think I can do these things differently, and it eventually paid off.
Yeah, and you had the ideas, and you wanted to make some you wanted to get make some changes, and you had your vision with the other company. There's a lot of people that have a lot of ideas. I remember back in the day when you mentored me, like 2016ish, you told me a lot of people are going to come into the company and they're going to tell you, hey, we got to do this, we got to change this, people with experience, and you're going to say no to those people, and you're going to keep believing in your vision. How does one person like you have these ideas and goes out there and execute versus 99.9% of the people? They all have ideas, and then you shut down their ideas, and then they end up leaving, and then they become those haters that then they start talking bad about a Patrick or an Albert.
I'm okay with that.
But my question is, how do you know who's the one? Because you were the one,
yeah.
But I'm sure you had a lot of other people that told you, Patrick, you shouldn't do that.
Why do the people that leave you bother you? Why do they bother you? Publicly. Privately, it should bother you. Why does it publicly bother you? Because think about it this way. What does an ex want you to do publicly? What does an ex want you to do?
They want you to fail.
Not only want you to fail, they want you to constantly follow their stories. They want you to constantly feel what they're doing on Instagram.
I unfollow them.
But if you talk about them, you're following them.
Well, people send me screenshots.
Don't worry about it. I get it all the time as well.
I know.
For me, the only reason I'm saying this to you is because here's the game I'm playing in life. And I'm going to simplify it for you to realize how I'm wired, okay? When an employee of mine quits, or a talent quits, or a salesperson quits, and we get it all the time.
Yeah.
My obsession this year has been all about HR. The last 12 months, it's not a sexy topic, but I'm obsessed with HR right now because I think that's the part that I want to figure out. If we're going to have a $100 billion holding company that we're going to build, I have to understand what it is to manage.
That's the next one.
Lead and drive, 10,000 plus employees, international consulting firm that's directly impacting many different industries, political, financial, technology, and at the same time building a media company that's inspiring people, and then at the same time a product development company like Connect that is growing and we're scaling. I have to grow as an individual, but here's how I'm wired. When a person quits, I ask myself, what are they thinking about? Either I didn't give enough of an argument for this person to believe that we're going places that they can belong in and their lives can change, or they just quit for other reasons. I like to believe the first one intentionally because I don't get the second one. We have people that quit, they're going through a divorce and it's ugly, and one of my guys quit 4 years ago, and then he told me a year and a half later, reason why I quit, I was going through a very public divorce and I didn't know how to publicly talk to people about it. I was embarrassed. Okay, I get it. That's tough. I'm not being able to read your mind, but I want to choose for me to think that you quit because you felt somebody else in a different company is going to be able to lead you better and give you a better life. That makes me want to improve. And then eventually, visually, in your mind, if you're somewhat competitive and you have one of those screws missing, you have to sit there and say, this guy, 5, 10, 15, 20, if he quit because he didn't believe in the vision that I had, 5, 10, 15, 20, 30 years from now, he or she is going to tell stories that at one point, honey, I used to work with that guy. Mm-hmm. At one point, son, daughter, that guy right there, I used to work with that guy. And then that kid is going to ask what question from the dad? What happened, dad? And the dad has to make up an excuse, and the kids are not going to believe it. Because the dad's probably going to say what? Well, let me tell you, people only see this side of him, but you don't know how tough he is behind closed doors and da-da-da-da-da. You're making excuses. And in that moment, a great father and a great mother have to sit there and make a very risky decision. If they trash me, they're teaching their future kids that are going to be leaders one day, future adults, to also make excuses. They're raising weak kids because they're going to be like them. But if they sit there and they say, the other day, cop pulls me over off of Federal, and I'm with Dylan, I'm coming back from baseball practice. Let me tell you what happens here on the drive back. I'm driving like a fool, okay? Coming back, it's late. I'm trying to put him to sleep because he's got homework, and I know we're going to be up to 11 o'clock. So I'm flying in a Porsche. Woo, woo, woo. There we go. Cop pulls me over. And he pulls me over at a red light where there's 40 cars around me. And I'm like, yes, officer. Why are you driving like a jerk? Who drives like this? And do you not see your son is sitting next to you? What kind of an example are you setting for your son? Slow down. I said, I'm trying to get him home to put him to sleep. Well, the way you're driving, you may not make it home. Walks away, doesn't give me a ticket. So, my son says, I don't like the way, Daddy, that guy spoke to you. I said, Billy, I appreciate the fact that you're being loyal to your daddy, but he was right. I was being a jerk. Do you know how confused my kid was? Do you know why? Because if in that moment, I tell him he was an asshole, I'm raising my kid to make excuses. No. He's right. I was driving too fast and I should have slowed down. But I love you, son, the fact that you're being loyal to me.
Yeah.
That's a character moment for this kid where he's going to be thinking about that. So this thing called life and raising kids and building a company, this is not an easy thing to do.
You don't make a book for it.
You eventually are going to look back and people are going to remember the way you handled embarrassing situations, because we're going to have a lot of them. I have a lot of them. The bigger you get, the more you're going to have. Your kids are going to watch you. Your spouse is going to watch you. Your employees are going to watch you. Your future employees are going to watch you. You know how many people watch and they say, I like the way he handles this. That's why I want to be part of that company. Great. All right. No problem. Great. But that's the part where, for me, if you leave, you quit. If you don't think I bring that kind of value to your life and you don't value it, no problem. If that's the reason why you quit, then let me make a better argument on why you missed out.
Yeah.
And that may take 5, 10, 15, 20, 30 years.
And the people that quit, if they want to come back, what's your process like to take them back? If they left in good terms or bad terms, does that have to do with it, or do you take everybody back?
Let's define bad terms. Is bad terms stealing? Is bad terms fraudulent activity? Is bad terms forgery? Is bad term stuff like that we have to terminate the guy or he walked away from? No, I can't do it.
What if they leave in good terms supposedly, but then they're trashing you, like on talking about you and spreading rumors about you that are false? When
they come back, do they say that they were wrong and they publicly apologize to their peers, or no? Do they come back and make that statement that, hey, I thought I could do it on my own, I effed up, I said some things I shouldn't said, I'd like to apologize to everybody, then I'd like to make the move back. If they're willing to do it like a man, like a real leader, you're willing to do something like that, I will entertain it. Because I respect that. It's not easy to do. Mm-hmm. If you're willing to face me and have a conversation like that, and you reassure me that this time around you're ready to run, let's roll. But if it was a care, like I got a guy that's texting me every day here, and this guy was my number one sales guy back in 2003. But he left and he stole 3 loans from me. And he went and funded it elsewhere in 2004, 2005. And I knew he did that. Do you know how bad he's trying to have a relationship with me today? I love him. He was hanging out with the wrong crowd. We're selling him LSD or drugs, whatever he was doing back then. And I had a conversation with one of the guys. I said, don't come close to this guy again, because he was like my younger brother. But for 3 loans, you compromise this relationship? I'm good, bro. I don't roll like that. And I wish you nothing but the best. I hope the $18,000 you made was worth it. Great. Go do it. Another guy that I have messages me a lot. And
you don't answer them?
One of them I said, what is the outcome of us meeting together? Well, I'm putting up the white flag. I just don't think we need to. You were right. I effed up this, that. But this guy actually did some stuff that I didn't like that was shady. I can't have you back into my life. And by the way, that is not coming from an arrogant place. That's coming from a place of how does somebody get sick? How does somebody get the flu? How does somebody get COVID? How does somebody get an STD? How does somebody get AIDS? How does somebody get anything? You may be doing something, you're not even paying attention to it. Next thing you know, you got a cold. Can you trace back where you got your cold from? Very rarely. Maybe it was a simple handshake. Maybe it was a handshake and you went like this. Do you know the power of a negative person in your life? Do you know the power of a small thinking, entitled, negative person? How easily it is for them to destroy your life? You can be pissed. You can feel insecure. They make one comment. You go home, argue with your wife. You're pissed off at your kids. They did nothing wrong. The level of power negative people have, so many people underestimate. So for me, if you've already proven that you're negative, multiple times, and you've proven you don't value the relationship, I don't take it personal. All I tell you is, dude, I respect you. I wish you nothing but the best, but we don't need to pursue this. God bless you. Go find somebody else. I'm okay with that. Because at one point you said that about me. I'm okay with it. But if this is a person, many have come back with me. I get the calls. And the way typically it starts is very gentle. Hey, I figured you'd like this book. Hey, your last podcast was great. Hey, this video I really liked. Hey, I heard what you said here. Hey, I missed when we used to go eat sushi.
Yeah.
Okay.
You already know what's coming.
Yeah. But even when they do that, you can't take away their manhood. You got to let them save face. You cannot take away their manhood because the man has pride. So if he's going to come back and he tells you respectfully that he effed up, and he's willing to say to other people behind closed doors, and he gives you that respect from stage, never take that manhood away from him. Let him keep it, because a man needs to keep it. If you take that away from him, now you took everything away from him. And you may be right, but he still doesn't feel safe around you. It's tough to do. Again, this is not easy to do. This is very hard. What I'm telling you is a lot easier to talk about than to actually do.
But it has to come from them? You wouldn't reach out to people?
No. Why would I reach out to you? You've already broken up with me. Why am I reaching out to you? No, not at all. Wish you all the best.
Yeah.
Wish you all the best. And again, remember, people who quit, not people who quit in the industry. There's guys that quit because insurance is so hard. There's guys that quit because real estate is hard. This is not an easy, but mortgages are hard. Rates.
Yeah.
The Fed is talking about they're going to increase the rates again. It's 7.1430 or whatever it is right now. Now they're talking about inflation's coming up. They got to raise the rates potentially in May. Are you freaking kidding me? Yes. Do you know who's shivering right now? Commercial real estate owners, real estate, people that are buying company that there's no money that's cheap right now to go buy them. Mortgage guys, real estate folks. They're worried right now what's going to happen if the rates go up. So sometimes people quit because of the industry. If it is because of the industry, I'll call you. But if you quit because of me, then that's a different story.
Yeah. What do you think is going to happen with real estate and mortgage?
I'm Albert Preciado. If you like what you're watching and you want to learn from an entrepreneur that built 8 companies and makes over $30 million a year, text me at 213-277-6208 and let's make it happen.
Short term or long term?
Both.
Well, short term right now, watch inflation, right? I mean, they're like, well, look at the Dow Jones. Look how much it's been going up. I think Bezos sold $2 billion of his stocks 3 times in a row. And Jamie Dimon, for the first time, just sold off $150 million of his shares in Chase. What does he know that the rest of us don't know? NVIDIA may be a $2 trillion company. The size of the Chinese stock market, one U.S. company is nearly the size of the Chinese stock market. 7 companies are carrying the stock market, okay? The average families are feeling it. They're feeling it when they're shopping. They're feeling it when they're buying food. They're feeling it everywhere. They're feeling it with what's going on. So to me, this inflation not moving the way they thought it was going to be. Jerome Powell is not a political guy. He was hired under Trump. But guess who doesn't like Jerome Powell? Both Biden don't like him and both Trump don't like him. You know what that means? He's doing a pretty good job. That's when you know you have a good chair of Fed. But this is going to be a rough season, at least for the next 3 months. But I don't think first half is going to be exciting for mortgages and real estate.
You think that people in mortgage that are using social media a lot are going to have that advantage versus the ones that are old school? You think maybe possibly if you have the reach, maybe you could get the mortgage. I'll give you an example. We're driving here and I got on this podcast because of the personal brand. And this guy's doing 100 million in sales in real estate because there's still the 1%ers that are killing it. Of
course.
So this guy reaches out to me and he likes me. So he's like, he's a fan of mine. And he's like, Albert, I've been following you for like 3 years. So long story short, I go there, I'm on the podcast. And then he tells me, Albert, I'm going to give you I work with this escrow company because we have an escrow company and I work with this lender. You know what? I clicked with you. I liked everything you said. I mentioned you on the podcast. I was talking about how you helped me when I started. And he says, you know what? I want to give you all my business. So I'm going to give you all my escrows and I'm going to give you all my real estate. I connect them with my guys right here. So now we took over a big book of business, but it's all because of personal brand.
I love it.
So like when you kind of burn your bridges, you kind of get, like people don't want to work with you. So for me, because of building relationships, I'm getting all these opportunities when it is hard in real estate and mortgage, but we're getting a lot of, I feel like there's a lot of opportunities for some of the few. What do you think about that?
I think, listen, it's like these guys I have guys in my insurance company that all they do is they make short clips on TikTok and Instagram, and their business isn't growing. Then I have guys that are doing nothing and they're killing everybody. Then I have guys that are doing both. They're dominating. So it's just another weapon you got.
Yeah.
It's just another tool.
Yeah.
But the guys that are going to do well long-term are the guys that follow up. They make the calls. They shake hands. They build relationships with influencers, and they go around, take this guy to lunch, take that guy to lunch, send this guy a gift on his birthday, send that guy, follow up with their clients, making sure while the times are hard, every one of their clients that they've ever done a loan with gets a $5 Starbucks card just to be in front of their face, to make them feel good and say, listen, even though the times are crazy, I'm so glad we locked in a 4% rate for you 2 years ago. I'm so glad that people are forgetting their actual customers. Like, right. I don't think people realize if you've done 300 loans, let's just say, okay, I would make a spreadsheet and write down right next to the name of the client on when I closed the loan and what the rate is. And I would put in a sheet of paper and I would say, Mary, hope all is well. Please give Jack my best. Just want to let you know, if nobody's ever told you, not only are you smart, but you're also wise for locking the 4.1% while today's at 7.1%. Whatever you do, here's a $5 Starbucks card because I respect smart and wise people. Ha ha ha. They leave. They go to Starbucks. They have a Starbucks. They drink it. Oh my God, this was great. So funny. Hey, who's your guy? It's my guy. Look what he just said. We locked it. Oh, I'd love to work with my guys. Never send me a Starbucks card. These are the stuff that people are just not willing to do behind closed doors. So if a person there's a guy yesterday, I'm at the soccer game, didn't have any game yesterday. And guy comes up to me, insurance guy, does very well for himself. He probably makes $1 million a year. And he's telling me about this one guy that sold his business for $50 million. And I said, so he says, Patrick, I got to tell you what this guy does. You know what this guy's great at? He outworks everybody. He's always on the road. He's meeting with high-end clients, and there's no special clothes he uses, but he's sitting in front of everybody. He takes care of his existing clients. I said, so what's his name? I grabbed my phone to go look at his name online. You know what he says to me? Oh, you won't find him anything because he doesn't believe in social media. This guy makes $5 million a year. Sold his business for $50+ million. You can't find him on social. And he's in his 60s and he's killing all the young guys? How? Boom, boom, boom. How you doing? Yeah. Follow up, all this stuff. So now if you do social, which is what we did social and we did that. Then there's levels to the game, right? You get a few $100 million instead of $50 million. So yes, but I'm always going to bank on the guy that's willing to do the work on a daily basis.
Yeah, because that's one of the questions I was asking Mario earlier. I was talking to him and I asked him, hey, did Pat slow down a little bit? Meaning, is he working a little less now because, he got his paycheck and all that? And he gave me the same smirk. He's like, no. He's like, we're working more than ever. And he's like, and I could see it in his face because he's like sweaty. Like I see like a sweat. And he's like, man, we're working so more than ever. So, and then I asked Sam the same question, and he's like, yeah. I'm like, how many? I'm like, because I already know you. So I'm like, hey, Sam, so you're working. How did Sam go from Sam that I used to know before? He used to help us sometimes with video recordings and stuff, and he would do other gigs, to becoming your Sam, like your lefty, your righty, whatever that looks like. And I'm like, you're working a lot of hours, Sam? And he's like, yeah. And he's like, and how many? And he's like 12 or 15 hours a day. And then he's like, and I said like 6 times a week. And he's like, yeah, like 7 times a week. And Mario's the same. So that they answered the question, but you got a big exit. You got a lot of money, right? A couple $100 million, I think, in your bank account. The last time I think you said that. And you're so famous now. Like you're huge. Like you're like a celebrity. You're like a movie, like singer, like a big rocker or like
I'm like a rocker.
Maybe not Taylor Swift yet, but you're
I'm a rocker, baby.
But you're pretty. You're big. No, I'm sure. And then you're big, so you people can't miss you. So now that you're that mega famous and you have all that money, like you could do the same things with 200 million than $1 billion. There's not much more money you can have. So my question is, why haven't you slowed down? And a follow-up question, how do you deal with all the temptations?
Yeah. So first, let me ask you a question that you asked Mario and Sam. We're on a flight yesterday or 2 days ago? 2 days ago. We get back Saturday night at 9:45. And we fly out to Vegas Friday. Friday night we land. We go eat at Chino Poblano. Right afterwards, we go check in. Then I go meet with a couple of my guys who are killers, Orianas. And then we're with them till 12:30. I don't know what time we're done having cigars, midnight. Then we get back to the place, wake up in the morning, go to the gym with Mario. And then we head out to this conference, 4,000 chiropractors I spoke to. And then right afterwards, we go have another meeting with Tikran, and Tikran stays behind. Then we get on the flight, we come back, and my Brooklyn 2-year-old kid stayed up till 9:45 for daddy to come and kiss her before she went to sleep, which was awesome. But, you know, why would they do that is the question. Why would they do that? Who in the right mind would do that? Actually think about that. Why would you do that? Your life has to be changing positively. You have to enjoy the person you're becoming. Financially, things have to be improving, and there has to be a real vision to pay the price the way that you are. It will never all be about money. If it's about money, people will slow down very early if it's just about money. Second question, when you're asking about, you know, money in the bank and fame and all this stuff, I know this is going to sound weird to you. Something's going on. And what do I mean something's going on? I don't know what's going on with the algorithms, but we're everywhere today because more people stop me when I go out. I'm still a regular guy. When I'm at the chiropractor place, 250 pictures we took, you know, books, all this stuff, and we're walking around. It's nonstop, right? But you know what I do? I stop. Everybody, the 250, if they're watching this right now, they know the 250 chiropractors that came and took pictures, every one of them, I asked them, where are you from? I learned about their families. I wanted to get to know them. Every one of them. Because without them, this is not happening. So to me, I don't think I am, you know, there yet. Because the vision, I'll tell you when I am. And it's going to be in about 10 years. It's going to take a minute, okay? But we have good things going on that side. Temptation. Quality of temptation improves. When you make more money, you're more successful, you have more money. The DMs you get is actually celebrities. They're beautiful, except people know who they are.
Yeah.
And, you know, places you go to, I'm always traveling with people. So no matter where I go, they walk me to my room before I go to sleep. Wherever I'm traveling to, I'm always with 3 guys. So when we're going, if I'm on the jet, I'll never be on a jet with just me and an assistant. My assistant is a guy. And the reason why I have Sam, who's not even my assistant, he does my house, my investments, he deals with my Goldman Sachs guys. He deals with all the money people. Samuel's dealing with everybody. So Samuel doesn't just do the matter of fact, we're about to hire an executive assistant that's going to do that work. Sam's got a different kind of responsibilities now that he's doing. But, you know, you have to find a way that it works for you to not put yourself in bad positions. Please understand this. I don't walk on water. When a girl walks by me, the same level of curiosity I have when I see her walking towards me and I said, I think this girl's probably got a perfect butt. My brain wants to turn around to look to see how perfect it is because I'm still a man, okay? Mario and I have a line when we see something that's a little too perfect. Mario, you know the line, okay? And Mario, obviously this has changed ever since you got married, but Mario used to have the best radar, meaning we could be in a room, 3 beautiful girls come in, and the room could have 1,000 people. Mario's already spotted them. 0 to spotting them, Mario's the fastest. He's one of the most gifted men I've met in my life. How he spots them. And I go up to him and I say, you've already seen all 3 of them. I've seen them. Tell me the color, green, blue, and pink. I'm like, yep. Mario's like, bam, spots them, right? No, so the idea is to be open about it. That you're not, some people always, oh, our marriage is perfect. Never happened to me. I will never. Fake nonsense. Now, the other side. I need God the most I've ever needed God. Yeah. My plan that I have on my, Samuel, can you do me a favor? If you just give me the laminated stuff, this is my favorite business plan I've ever done in my life. It gets me so emotional, I can't even describe it to you. This is my favorite plan I've ever done. If you just hand it to me. When I go through this, it's private. Only 3 people have read this plan, okay? When I go through this plan and I read it, I can't even tell you what it does to me. What are those 3 people? It's my wife, Mario, and my oldest son. The only 3 people that I've read it. When my oldest son read it, I was watching him. It's the best feeling. I'm watching him because a big part of the plan is my kids. And he's going through it. And you can tell moments where he's getting like, man, my dad thinks like this about me. It's a freaking awesome feeling. But in here, I talk about why I need God the most today. The only time I've ever broken down on a podcast is when I'm talking to Louis House, and he loves sharing this clip every time when I broke down, and he says, Patrick crying for the first time, Patrick crying for the first time. And people send it to me. What an emotional moment here. I don't like to do that, but if there's anything I will, it's going to be for the man upstairs because of the life he's given me. I need God the most today, sincerely. I need it the most today because what the vision I have and what I want to do for myself, for my family, for this country, for the world that I feel like God's put on my heart that I can't get it off my chest, meaning I can't stop thinking about it, I'm going to need his help. So I ask him. So listen, I'm going for this. 40 years, you keep me healthy, I'll keep going. The only way I'm going to stop is if you make me sick or you take me with you. If you do, then that's your way of saying it's too much. You're talking too much. Then I'll stop. But if you don't, I'm going to continue doing this till the day I die. So these are the temptations, but this is your defense. So if you have a lot of this also protecting you, you can somewhat fight this off. You're not going to get it right every time, by the way. You're not going to get it right every single time. But that's why you need this desperately the bigger you get. At least that's what I believe in.
So God has really helped you most recently?
No, God's always helped me, man. God's helped me since January 20th of 04.
But would you say that like your relationship with God right now, it's different than it was before?
No,
It's always been there?
The reason why I've had the confidence that I've had is because I'm convinced he's behind it. So think about it from this standpoint. Imagine if you live in New York, okay, in the 50s, 40s, 30s, and Lucky has your back, Luciano, in your small little Italian family, or Frank Costello has your back, or Ben Siegel has your back, or Meyer Lansky has your back, or Paul Castellano, or Gotti, or some of these guys have your back. To an Italian family running a small little baker or liquor, that's a big deal. Now that's a small little community. Imagine if the most powerful source, bigger than any gangster in the world combined, has your back. How do you feel? How do you walk? How do you think? How do you talk? What responsibilities do you have? How should you treat people? How should you walk around? Can you think like everybody else and fall for all the traps in life? No, you can't. You're not going to be perfect, but you have to hold yourself to higher standards and expectations. So what if you have access to that source? What lens do you look at the world through? Do you look at the world through, I'm better than this guy, I'm better than this guy, I'm better than this guy? Or are you looking at it through a complete different lens? See, eyes, I've always said this, tell a story, right? Didn't a famous poet once say, eyes never lie, Chico? Remember that poet?
Yeah.
What's that poet's name, Mario? What movie is that? Eyes never lie, Chico? Scarface, right?
I'm our Preciado. If you like what you're watching and you want to learn from an entrepreneur that built 8 companies and makes over $30 million a year, text me at 213-277-6208 and let's make it happen.
You can look at someone's eyes and you can see fear, you can see ego, you can see insecurities, you can see acting, you can see love, you can see compassion, you can see worry, you can see arrogance, cockiness. Man, eyes are a very, very interesting thing. And you can put a bunch of eyes in front of you and you'll be able to tell something's going on with this guy. You'll be able to do it. Yeah. So, the right eyes are the ones that you have to act less. Yeah. It just is. Yeah. Right?
Because I remember you told me once you were in Dallas and you said Dallas, there's a lot of older people and you mentioned I mentioned Miami and you said, oh, Miami, no, I'll go to Miami if I want to get divorced. Dallas, I'm here good with a lot of older ladies. They like me and I flirt with them. But here in Miami, it's going to be dangerous because, Miami, I'm here with the guys and we're staying in Miami. And it's full of
everybody's out of shape, ugly. It's
horrible.
Terrible.
Yeah,
it's horrible.
So these guys, they're bored, drinking a lot of water, and they're bored of their ass, and so they're like, yeah, this is Miami. So how do in that aspect, how's your relationship right now with Jen, your wife, and has it been a little bit dangerous or are you just like God's watching, I gotta do what's right, you stay very focused?
Where do you live?
I live in Bel Air, in Beverly Hills, Hollywood.
Okay. how different is Bel Air, Beverly Hills than, say, Agora Hills? How different is it?
It's different.
It's very different, right?
Yeah.
Way more traffic.
Yeah.
And Agora Hills, Chesbro, what traffic, right?
Mm-hmm.
Canaan Road, there's no traffic.
Calabasas.
Maybe you go to the Italian deli that they have that they won the lottery, maybe you do something like that. But it's a very different climate.
Mm-hmm.
Fort Lauderdale is now Miami. Fort Lauderdale is 45 minutes away from Miami, an hour away from deep Miami, where the craziness happens.
Yeah.
It's long enough of a drive that I have no desire to go to Miami. Okay, Fort Lauderdale here, the way Florida works, especially South Florida, the more south you go, the younger. The more north you go, the older. If you get to Jupiter, you're a couple years away from going to heaven and meeting God. Okay? Then you got Palm Beach, then you got Boynton Beach, then you got Boca, then you got Pompano, then you got Fort Lauderdale.
Yeah.
You live in Fort Lauderdale if you're 40 to 45 years old. That's exactly where I live.
Yeah.
So meaning in about 10 years, I have to move up.
So you agree that living in Miami wouldn't be the best scenario?
Definitely not for you. You're a little too handsome. No, if you guys are thinking about moving to Florida and you want to focus on family, Fort Lauderdale is a perfect place for you. I think Las Olas will be very good for you. I don't know if you're moving or not.
Well,
I think
we have to.
You're going to love Las Olas.
Yeah.
Have you guys looked into Las Olas or no?
I know where it's at, but we haven't looked into it.
You're going to love Las Olas.
Yeah. But we're doing a lot of business now here in Florida too. So.
You're going to love it here. Yeah. I mean, you saw Sly just moved here. He just announced on their show, it was all over, went viral everywhere.
Yeah.
That they told their kids they're leaving California to go to Florida.
Yeah, because California is really bad. Getting into that topic.
You don't like California with all the homeless people around your office? Like there's always company. You don't like that?
I was robbed gunpoint in my office.
I remember.
I told you.
Yeah, the watch.
And then before that they broke into my house where I used to live in Beverly Hills. So we moved to Bel Air. You know, it's gated, and they still try to break in.
Get out of here.
Recently. Yeah. So they were. It's plain daylight. It's 2 p.m.
I love Bel Air.
Yeah, it's 2 p.m. and we are at the office, me and Sil. And then 3 robbers climbed the fence, and they were breaking in. They were in the second story, jumping in through my main bedroom and master bedroom. And my housekeeper was there, Nanny is there, and they hear some noise. And then Nanny goes to the window and opens the curtain, and there's a masked guy, masked with like trying to break in. He hopped it. He got so nervous that he couldn't even jump off the balcony. Yeah. So it took him forever, and he was so nervous. He runs in through the wrong side, then he runs back. He was very, very nervous, and it's funny now, but it wasn't funny. It was very scary because we got a FaceTime call because in Bel Air the reception's not that good, so you got a FaceTime. So they're FaceTiming me and Sil. And Sil goes to me and she's like crying, and like they're breaking into the house, and Chip, my dog Chip, he's barking, and it was scary. It's 2 p.m. I'm thinking, what are these people going to do? What if they take one of my daughters? It's scary. I don't even want to talk about that. But long story short, we had to get full-time security. So now we have full armed guards everywhere. And it's like, I'm not Pat celebrity type, right? I have a few followers.
Yeah, but you live in California though.
Yeah.
And you make money.
So it's very bad. And I use the social media to flash and to get engagement and get more. It helps me a lot. But that's how California is right now. So I got to get out of there. And also,
What's your timeline for moving?
Well, I have a lease that we pay $100,000 a month, and it's over in 2.5 years.
Okay.
So I told the guys, maybe I get out, maybe in 2.5 years, almost 3 years, we're definitely going to move here, but I'm going to start moving sooner than later. So maybe in the next 12 months, I see myself here. And also I see myself negotiating some of that stuff that I have, some of the expenses.
Do you have the termination out of the contract, that early termination clause where you cut a big check and you move, or no?
There's other things that yeah. But that's California right now.
It's a shame. What a great state. They're ruining a great state.
So the question is how do you feel about California? How do you feel about people leaving California? And do you agree that that's the move that I should make? Come to Florida and run everything from here.
Here's my philosophy in it. If you're gonna stay, you best get involved in politics and change policies. If you're gonna stay, do something about it. But if you're not gonna get into politics and you're not gonna want to put your career into politics to do something about it, then you have to be patient if you don't have the resources. But if you have the resources and you don't want to run for office and you don't want to get into politics, then you got to move. Period. Musk moved to Austin. Rogan moved to Austin. Mark Wahlberg, Hollywood, moved to Nevada. Tiger, Phil Mickelson, they're here. Michael Jordan moved from Chicago. He's in, I think, somewhere around here. Ken Griffin moved here from Chicago. He's in Miami building a big ass place. Jeff Bezos saved $600 million to move to Florida with his girl.
I mean, everybody's moving.
Everybody's moving. And you know what types of people are moving to Florida? People who are business owners who vote accordingly. That's who's moving here. Yeah. You know who's moving to California? Those who want their 12-year-old son to transition into a girl and be on puberty blockers. Florida doesn't support it. Florida says, wait till your kids are a little bit older. California says, bring them down. We're okay with it.
Why do you think they're doing that, though?
It's ideas. It's bad ideas.
What do you think about that?
When you're a kid and you have such a bad idea, but you think you're so right, you're an idiot for a few years. We've all been there before. Sometimes states become idiots. And some politicians are flat out idiots. And they have to go through it. Unfortunately, they hurt the people living in that state that are great people. And California is going through it
because that's why I took my kids out of school. So
they're homeschooling right now?
We're homeschool. Yeah. So my daughter, Italia, she's the oldest one. She's 7. She goes to school. She has school 7 times a week. So she has school Monday through Sunday. And Monday through Friday, she has school for 2 hours.
Homeschooling.
Homeschool for 2. No, yeah. So Monday through Friday, it's via Zoom, 2 hours. So and then Saturdays and Sundays, teacher comes in person half of the day. So she gets school Saturdays and Sundays in person at the house, Bel Air.
Great.
And then Monday through Friday, it's via Zoom. And
you have the resources to do it.
And it's because of all the stuff that California is doing, including the vaccines and all that stuff.
Listen, I'm trying to create a rally for million kids to be taken out of school for 1 year. I want to see 1 million kids now go to school for 1 year in public school. That's what I'm trying to do for 1 year in 2024, 2025. They got to feel the pain.
How's that going?
Well, we need the right people to be behind it, and we need to create a system to educate the kids so they have classes to take. And I'm going to volunteer to teach myself if I want to be one of the professors, but only if these families commit to it. I think the biggest, what do you call it? The union in America, I think it's called NEA, the Teachers Association, whatever it's called. They got 3.2 million members, part of this association.
Yeah.
They're bullies. They bully parents. They bully kids. They're pathetic, if you ask me. And they're going out of line, using their power a little too much. They're becoming very, very political. And the way you have to make them feel it is by taking 1 million kids out of school. And then eventually, if AI, we can create courses where teachers are teaching. Like, imagine if we can take, let's just take me. Let's take you. And you're going to be teaching real estate. And AI gets enough of your camera where they know how to replicate you as a teacher. Mm-hmm. They add real estate content, how to be an investor, how to be a realtor, how to be a loan officer, how to be this, and how to manage your money and make your first million or whatever maybe, right? And they take you and they record 20 different classes, okay? Each an hour apiece, okay? And then AI comes up with questions and answers, a quiz to take based on whatever you taught for an hour, okay?
Right.
So now you can't be in 50 different places, but now you can because of AI. So now parents are putting their kids in a class, and today, Albert is talking about XYZ. No problem. AI is doing it. That's the direction this is going to go. These public school people that have this kind of power, their power is going to be taken away from them in the next 10 to 20 years. They're not going to like it. They are not going to know what to do without their power. Yeah. You ever go to the DMV and then a DMV employee treats you like shit?
All the time.
And you're kind of like, oh man, you're talking to me like that and you make $17 an hour and you're looking at me like you own me, right? Imagine if you're looking at those people and you're like, you realize you're not going to have a job very soon because anybody can do your job. Your job is not that big of a deal unless you find a way to replace you. AI is going to get rid of the people that have had a chokehold on people. Mm-hmm. It's going to be a very different system here. Yeah. So specifically our educational system.
Well, for example, Italia learned how to play the piano on her own. She uses she downloaded an app on the iPad.
I love that.
And she said, "Hey, daddy, look, I learned how to play the piano." And
I said 6:30.
And the iPad, she just learned, and she learned by herself, just with the piano, just with technology.
I love it. I love it.
So like I think that's very good for them. So to wrap up, Pat, I just want to close down with California. Do you feel California can improve, or do you feel California is done? And then next president, what do you think happens if Biden wins?
So California, can it be improved? California, unfortunately, is so far left now with their policies that for it to improve, it must go through a lot of pain. How do you go through a lot of pain? A lot of people leaving. I mean, just the other day in San Francisco. So imagine in San Francisco where you vote, okay? You're voting for whatever you're voting for in that city.
Yeah.
The individual that just got hired to run the election committee is not a U.S. citizen, is from China, has only been in America for less than 5 years. And when she was doing the interview, explaining the fact that she just won, she did the interview in Chinese. That's San Francisco for you. Can you imagine? That's who they just voted to be the election committee leader in the city of San Francisco. A lot of bad policies. Homelessness is everywhere. Hollywood is sick of it.
I don't feel California improves.
It'll improve, but it'll improve in 10, 20, 30 years. It's not going to improve today. They need somebody that's going to want to come up, that's going to have some conservative views, that's bold, that's tough, that's a great salesperson that can sell the ideas and is relentless, is not offended, can, push back on whatever they're going to be doing. And that may take a while, but you got to find a guy like that. Number two, election, what I think is going to be happening. I think the people you have to give a lot of credit to and pay attention to is Las Vegas. Las Vegas odds right now has the leader, if you bet right now, the person that you win the least money with, if you bet, is Donald Trump. You know what that means? Most likely to become president. The second most likely to become president that you win the second least money is Joe Biden. But you know who's number three? Somebody named Michelle Obama.
Yeah.
Okay. Michelle Obama went from 100 to 1 to 40 to 1 to 20 to 1 to 15 to 1 to 11 to 1. Last week she went to 9 to 1. I think she's 8 to 1 now.
Yeah. How do you feel if a woman is our president for the first time?
I'm not. I don't think about if a woman or a male is. From my perspective, I think Nikki Haley. When you see Nikki Haley speak, you see why some men don't want a woman to be a president because of certain traits and way of doing business that it's going to be weird. But I don't think it's going to be a challenge whether it's a man or a woman, not in my eyes at least. When it comes down to dealing with the issues that we have today in the Middle East, that you have to sit down with these guys and negotiate, many of these people are not going to sit with you.
Yeah.
So the challenge from the woman perspective is how many countries won't even have a meeting with you? That's automatically not something that should qualify somebody to run.
Yeah.
Because as a person who becomes a president, you have to be able to go sit down with almost anybody and everybody, have a conversation to lower the temperature. So now you want to go to certain areas in the Middle East that they're like, nah, we're not going to meet with you. It's a little weird. But if there's ever been a time that's going to be more receptive to us having a female president, it's today.
You would be a great president, by the way. I know you can't be a president, but you would be a great president.
Not born here. If the laws were different, I would.
If you could, you would run.
I think I would be a very good president. I'm not even saying it in an arrogant way. I don't know if I would do it because.
What would you? How would you fix the U.S.? You think you could fix it?
Oh, yeah. There's no question about it. But you know what the biggest problem is? I'll simplify it with one of the bigger issues. Okay, if we go to survey 1,000 kids today, okay, and we ask them, who's your hero? What does it mean to be a hero today? I don't know who they recognize as a hero. They may recognize somebody on TikTok that's transgender, that's going viral, that could be their hero.
Right.
That's got 13 million followers. They may give some most weird random names to be a hero. When we were coming up, we would have said, maybe a successful businessman, Michael Jordan, a president, a pop, rock star, a this or that. We may do something like that. Today, a third of Gen Z, they're more likely to be part of the LGBTQ community than to vote for Donald Trump. A third of Gen Z today, based on some stats that are coming out, are part of the LGBTQ community. How did that happen? How did we get here all of a sudden? Is this by accident? Did people just figure out to come out of the closet? Or is somebody pushing the agenda down their throat? Is somebody, going out there recognizing these people? America has a hero-making machine problem, and we've confused kids. Kids don't know who to look up to. We don't look up to military the way we did. We don't respect cops the way we did. We lack selling honor, values, principles. Everything would change with hero-making machine. We would recognize fathers who make it work. We would recognize mothers who have 2 jobs and they raise their kids and make no excuses and don't want any government assistance. We would recognize husband and wife that raise the proper kids, and we would tell the world about it. We would have a monthly recognition system where we would, from the pulpit, recognize individual kids, citizens, parents, people from all walks of life, where they're competing to want to be a better example for others. It would all start off with hero-making machine, purely hero-making machine. We would have initiatives to say, this week, I want you to go sit down with somebody you politically disagree with and try to find 5 things you guys have in common. Yeah. Go sit down and see if you can talk to some. It would be more about trying to figure out a way to come like this. Like, in a week, in 10 days, I'm having a podcast right here with Candace Owens and Chris Cuomo. Okay. Candace Owens is a conservative African-American woman who's got billions of views online, great communicator, sitting down with Chris Cuomo. Yeah. Chris Cuomo was with CNN. Chris Cuomo, a lot of people were upset with the way, how CNN handled vaccine and all this other stuff, and they gave him a hard time with Andrew Cuomo, his brother, all this stuff. Guess what? I enjoyed talking to both of them. Chris and I have become friends. Chris is going to be here. We're probably going to go afterwards, have a good time at the UFC fight. He'll come to the house, wrestle with Dylan. We'll have dinner together. I enjoy talking to him. Yeah. I get along with anybody and everybody. As long as the basis is respect, we can do that. But those will be some of the things. If you want to know policy-wise what I would change, I did a video on what I would do if I was a president. I break down 10 policies, but I don't want to go through
we'll put the link below. Yeah. And so it's safe to say that if things change and it allows you to be president, you would be president.
I would entertain it. And if I chose to run, I think we would have a formidable platform and support and enough due diligence with different issues that I think we would be formidable to win.
Yeah. So if you're watching this, we might have the future president right here, Patrick Bet-David, and
laws would need to change.
Yeah, and two quick things. What do you like about me, and what advice would you give me at this current moment for business and personal?
What I like about you is the fact that no matter how cocky you may come across at times, I think deep down inside you want to figure things out. So, I have guys in the company that I've worked with the last 20-something years, right, that I've been in this business. And I have some guys that are super coachable, hungry, easy to work with. Great. I have some guys that are super hungry, but not easy to work with. And I have guys that are super coachable, not hungry at all. And I have guys that are not coachable and not hungry, okay? Mm-hmm. So let's take the not coachable, not hungry, lack character, put them out. You can pray for them, nothing's going to happen. Let's put the coachable, not hungry, solid character. They're not going to do anything because they're not driven. So put them on the side. So now put the not coachable, solid character, hungry. They're going to make money. Mm-hmm. And eventually, you know what happens to this community? The ones that are not the most coachable, but they're super hungry, character, but they're slightly cocky. This is what happens to them. The same thing keeps repeating itself every 2 to 3 years, okay? And eventually, some take 3 years, some take 6 years, some take 10 years, some take 15 years. Eventually, they're going to be like, I do not want to go through the cycle again. And eventually, you sit there and say, dude, It's all on you, 100%. Moving forward, I don't want to say 80% was his fault, 20% is my fault. I don't want to say 80% is my fault, 20% is his fault. It's my fault. And eventually, when you get to the point where internally you can say, "This is on me. It's on me." Eventually, people want to be around you more. Eventually, you become a better leader. Eventually, retention goes higher. Eventually, you go through a certain level of humility, and somehow, somewhere, you make more money. The challenge is, what I'm telling you works, okay? When the next level of money comes, which it will, you can't revert back to the old person because you're going to go back. Business is also going to go back to that. That's what's tricky about it. I'll have guys that will buy into this philosophy, and then all of a sudden their business explodes. And then they go back to being cocky again, and they lose everybody again. So if you're going to make a change, this conversation I've had with George Palaio many times, I said, stop making so many temporary changes that last 6, 18, 12 months, 24 months. Make permanent changes. I said, I don't want no more temporary changes with you. I want permanent changes. And when he was going through this, he was younger. Eventually he made some changes, but you got to ask yourself, no more temporary changes, permanent changes, and if I make more permanent changes and it becomes part of my lifestyle, doesn't mean I'm going to be perfect all the time, but that means new things are going to happen with my life. So that's the part with you that I feel, because you're curious and wanting to learn and you're super competitive, I think whatever you're going through, if you don't get in your own way, you'll eventually figure it out, because you do want to build something big. You do love your family. You do want to make your family proud. You do want to make your community proud. You do believe in yourself, but only you know how often the same things keep repeating itself in your life. And your job as a man that keeps growing up and maturing is to make sure those same things don't reappear, because life isn't always when you do that. And you know what happens? You'll be in the car by yourself. Sil won't know. Your kids won't know. Your coworkers won't know. Your parents won't know. I won't know. Nobody will know. But you'll sit there by yourself and you'll say, this was on you. And that's great. That's a start. I've done that many times. And then eventually, progress. And you say, I'm proud of the way you handled this one. Good for you. Boom.
So you talk to yourself a lot.
All the time.
Yeah. Those are sometimes the best conversations.
Of course. Absolutely. Yeah. I agree.
So Pat, last thing before we end this, can you just share like one thing that you've never shared publicly, like maybe a story that I just told a story I've never told before with Dylan getting pulled over in a car. I've never told that in a video or ever. That's the first time I told that story, with me getting pulled over and Dylan saying, "Daddy, I don't like the way the guy talked to you." And I said, you were right. No, I don't know about a story or any of that stuff. All I'll tell you is feedback-wise is, there is the life that people see on social. Then there's the life that your family and friends see. Then there is the reality, which is the one right? If you can focus on improving that last one, which is the real one, everything else improves. Spend more time improving the real part of your life. Gradually, enough people behind closed, like, what's happening right now with me, which is kind of weird. I'm getting messages of, a girl was at the event, the chiropractor event, and she's wearing the purple Future Looks Bright hat and Future Looks Bright shirt and hat. And she says, Patrick, you know how long I've been following you? How long? Since you interviewed me. Interviewed you? Yeah. When did I interview you? In Encino 20 years ago. I interviewed you in Encino 20 years ago, yeah. Wow. Really? You obviously won't remember because you've done a lot of interviews, but I remember that day. And there was something. I said, this guy's going to do something. Never work with you, but I felt like something was going to happen.
I'm Howard Preciado. If you like what you're watching and you want to learn from an entrepreneur that built 8 companies and makes over $30 million a year, text me at 213-277-6208 and let's make it happen.
I got an email the other day with another guy talking about, it's 2004, Pat. You will not remember this. We're in Atlanta, and we all decided to go to the strip club. And you didn't come with us to the strip club. On the way back from Atlanta to Duluth, we had an hour and a half drive, and you were making phone calls for an hour and a half. And you were in the back, loud as usual, and we all said, what a cocky guy, just showing off that he's making calls. 20 years later, we realized you weren't being cocky. You were just more competitive than us. See, those stories are my favorite stories now.
Yeah.
Of the people that witnessed it, and now they're telling the stories to others. That's what I mean. You have the social media story, you have the friends and family, wife and kid story, then you have the real story. The more you focus on the real story, eventually everything else is going to catch up. And when it does, it's exponential. Spend more time on the last one than the first two, things will fall in its place.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much, brother.
Anytime, man. Appreciate you.